Okay, so my name is Sherry Frocklage. I'm with the Tahltan First Nations. I live in northwest British Columbia. We're about 2.5 hours south of the Yukon border. So I'm here today to talk about a long-term enhancement project that I've been working on at Tahltan Lake. Are you moving me or am I moving you? Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so just on a map here, Tahltan Lake is located in the headwaters of the Tahltan drainage, which is 51,000 square kilometers. We're approximately 25 kilometers from the town of Telegraph Creek, which is the First Nations community on the Tahltan, and it's accessible by air only. You can walk in, take horses, or in the winter people snowmobile in, but there is no road access to Tahltan Lake. Please. Okay, so here's just a site map. So the lake, the places that we'll be talking about, our camp is up on the very top corner there, the outlet of the lake. The seining sites are just down lake from that, and our egg take site. So this is the main spawning grounds where the seining takes place. And as we progressed with this program, we ended up having to augment some of our fishing efforts to capture broodstock. And the alternate fishing site is up on the end, where there's larger concentrations of fish also available. Okay, so just a little bit of background. The project is, we conduct it in collaboration with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, ourselves and Alaska. It began in 1989. The first egg take, I don't think was very successful. My understanding was prior to my involvement. So in 1989, I think they hit the site and they took the gametes and sent them to the hatchery separate, unfertilized. And a lot of the eggs were crushed, so it wasn't deemed all that successful. But second year, 1990, I got involved in that year, and so I've been on that the egg take crew since 1990. One of the old dinosaurs, I guess, still kicking. So the information on the lake shows that we are, it's believed to be spawning limited, with the potential for some underutilized rearing capacities. We have a production goal of 100,000 adult sockeye. And that number has been associated with a 6 million egg take goal. So this is the extra 100,000 pieces. Brian spoke about it earlier when he talked about Tatsumini. It's part of the Pacific Salmon Treaty to produce an extra 100,000 pieces for us as Canadians to access 50% of our harvest share of sockeye. So normally when we go in, we take a couple days to set up our camp, the main camp as well as our spawning shelter and our fishing site. So we normally have alternating days of fishing and then an egg take day. We've kind of leaned more in the last few years of maybe a couple days leading in, a couple days for brood capture, instead of like just one day, bam, we get what we need. So we do our broodstock collection by beach seining, and now with the addition, like I said, we've had to kind of augment our broodstock capture off the main grounds. So we've gone into a longer term holding where we're capturing the greens that we capture on fishing days. We keep those fish. Instead of releasing them back onto the grounds, we keep them and we hold them in net pens. And we didn't start doing that till around 2000, I think. But our eggs are, we do everything right on site. So we do our captures and our egg takes, and then once the eggs are fertilized, they're sent to the hatchery in Port Snettisham. We try our best for same-day deliveries. Weather does not always permit, but we do our best to do that. Because the lake has a virus, all our water and our ice come back on backhauls from the hatchery. They provide our ice and water from Snettisham. The resulting fry from our field takes have been released into Tuya and our Tahltan Lake in late May, as close to ice off as we can. They're released unfed, and we haven't had any releases to the Tuya Lake system since the spring of 2014, which has obviously changed the numbers of eggs or the number of fish that we're targeting to get the eggs. Okay, so our egg collection is limited to a maximum of 30% of the available female escapement. Our overall objective, some of the guidelines of the lake, one objective is not to exceed the 1-to-1 ratio of wild to enhanced smolts. We have our last fishing day is identified as September 25th, which allows for some natural spawning to occur at the lake. We have seen in years out there where we're there for the peak, and then we're down on the backside of it, so we know we're there through the whole duration of the spawning. Some years we're there, we watch it build and then platform, and then we're done. So we know that there's still some natural opportunities there for the fish to spawn unmolested and bothered on the grounds. So IHN is endemic to a lot of the northern stocks, including the Stikine. So again, we use, similar to the gentleman that just spoke, as far as cleaning yourself down and disinfecting in between fish is again a high priority on our site. Okay, so this is kind of a bit of a line of progression. So we started the assessments for enhancement in 1987-88, and that was looking at the different lakes, what lakes would be suitable for nursery lakes. The first egg take was at Tahltan Lake in 1989. In the mid-90s, we started seeing some changes to the spawning grounds, to the fish, their activity on the grounds. And I think, just from being on site, it was groundwater related. We added the longer term, the holding and the sorting, and the additional angling of broodstock in 2010. We've been looking into the feasibility of new enhancement projects. Like I said, we dropped Tuya Lake from the production. So we've been trying over the last several years to look at something that's going to replace the production of those fish. We have the implementation of the new CFIA egg take methods to try to prevent the IHN and the fish-borne disease. That was implemented in 2014, and that is basically a saline rinse prior to fertilization and then immediately after. So just a quick show of the spawning distribution. So the big blotch, the big circle, that's our main spawning grounds. Oh, hey, didn't even touch it. Where'd you go? Okay, so the big circle, that's the main spawning grounds, but what we started seeing was these little pockets of fish, or little pockets of fish that were showing up. So fish were actually zoning in on areas that looked like they weren't very productive sites at all. Covered in thick mud and weed and stuff, and they'd go in, hone in on that groundwater, and then clean them up and start depositing eggs. So we've seen a bit of expansion as far as spawning distribution within the lake itself. And I might mention too that up at the outlet there, the one right near the very top, most of the broodstock capture over the years, in the early years, were off the main spawning grounds, but we did occasionally sweep that outlet site as well, because some years we have a fairly large concentration of spawners right at the outlet. Okay, so changes in our staining results. At the very beginning, we would go in, we'd catch anywhere between 400 to 1,000 fish in one set. So to empty the net was a speedy process. We'd have all the pens in, the Vexar pens, and we'd just be tossing male or female. And then they would be sorted at the end of the day. Not sure why. Like I said, we started seeing some different behavior on the grounds, where even though there was a lot of fish coming into the lake, they weren't all showing up on that main spawning grounds. They were starting to disperse into different little pockets. Our catch per unit effort obviously was quite high and dropped down, and it was a noticeable improvement this past season as far as available fish off the grounds. And I must say too, like in earlier years, we were doing, the section of the lake where we do our sets to capture the broodstock, it's about 6 passes. And what we were doing in the earlier years was we'd do 6 passes, we'd catch everything we needed. And then there was a period of time there where we just weren't seeing the available right fish on the grounds. And we were doing sometimes 2 or 3 passes. Again, it caused some alarm with my First Nation, saying, you know, that's a lot of mauling of those fish and handling of those fish. So we've cut back to just the single pass again. And as you see, our catch per unit effort has gone up again. So we're seeing more fish back on those grounds again. So beach seining, we do our beach seining right on the main grounds there. Using, and that's our primary broodstock capture method. The small wood-framed XR pens there is what we hold them in overnight for an egg take the following day. Anything that's going to be held long-term goes into the big floating mesh pens. Okay, so our green females, like I said, we never used to do that. We never used to keep the green females. We released everything green. We only kept what was actually ripe and ready to go. So we started a few years back holding the green females as well, and we would sort those on fishing days. So after we're done our beach seining, then we drag in the pens and we sort through them and select the females that are ready. We float these pens offshore. Because bears tend to zone in on them when they know they're there, and we've had a few releases, so there's nothing worse. I know probably any of you guys that do any of the field stuff would contest that, yeah, bears coming in and releasing your stock can throw a wrench into the plans for sure. Okay, so we sort our net pens every other day, the ones, like I say, that are out floating, and we fish every alternate day. So fishing egg take, and the ready girls, when we sort them out of these floating pens, go into just the XR, the smaller pens, 5x8s, and they're only held overnight. Okay, so like I said, we started looking at additional broodstock, female broodstock collection at the alternate end of the lake there, the alternate fishing site. These fish are snagged. This fellow in the picture here probably been snagging fish for 45 years of his life, right? Very good at snagging, avoiding the belly, usually a head shot or right on the tail. And the fish that are caught down in the far end of the lake, we transport them back up with a small aeration system and some sedative, and then they're put into a separate pen, so they're not just thrown in with all the other girls. That pen is select, and we sort that every second day as well. And most of the fish that they're bringing us into that pen are already ripe and ready girls straight off the spawning ground. By the time I get this figured out, I'll be done. Okay, so the broodstock collection in 2016. This little pie chart just shows you the percentage of ripe females obtained by the different methods. So green shows the ripe females that we sorted from holding greens, and they contributed 54% of our broodstock. The red shows the ripe females directly from our beach seining efforts, and that's about 39% contributed, and only 7% from the alternate fishing on the far end with snagging females off the grounds. So egg takes are performed in accordance with the accepted sockeye culture procedures, the Alaska sockeye culture manual. Again, we pay very close attention to cross-contamination every time you come in and out. Hands are washed, your gear is washed. Fish are brought in, the females are brought in, we disinfect them with bovidine solution. They're dried, then they're brought to a cutting table. And same thing with the males. Males are brought in, males are each individually washed. You wash your hands in between. So yeah, very close attention paid to not cross-contaminating any of the fish. So the new egg take procedures, like I said, prior to fertilization, we pour off the ovarian and we add a small amount of saline, salt water to them. That's decanted off that water, then we fertilize and then we do it again. Another saline rinse. And then they're put on Ovidine to water harden and disinfect, excuse me. It has necessitated like more hands on the ground. It's a little bit more labor intensive. Takes a little bit more time to do that rinse. So we've kind of, we've actually increased our crew by 1 member to help accommodate that. Okay, so egg delivery, weather cannot supply. Same thing as what Brian experiences. We're out there from the last week of August to the end of September. We've gone into the first week of October on occasion. So the weather, poor weather often dictates to us whether we can get a same-day delivery off or not. So last year we did 11 takes. So there was 2 of them had a 1-day delay, and there was 4 that had a 2-day delay. On 3 occasions we had to pull in the helicopter. Twice the helicopter from Dease Lake and once the helicopter from Juneau came down and picked up our eggs for us. We're finding that if eggs are held longer than 24 hours, we transfer them out of the plastic bags into the moist incubation system, the metal baskets with the muslin cloth, and that seems to, you get them out of their biomass, their waste, and they have better survivals. Okay, so this just shows the amount of eggs taken. Like I say, our target's always been 6 million. We've adjusted those in the last few years, but here's kind of a graph that shows you the amount of eggs that have been taken over the last almost 30 years of this program. Here's our green eye to fry survival rates. As you can see, we had some really good years and we dropped down for a bit and we're slowly climbing again. Survival rates are up again. And here we have some, just a little bit of information on the IHN losses that we've seen. This year, as you can see, like some years, there's none. It goes really well and then all of a sudden down, we'll end up with a big spike of it. Unexplainable, not sure what's causing it. It's just one of those things that we have to deal with. Okay, and here's our Tahltan Lake Wild to enhance egg to smolt survivals. The average, let's see here. So the wild smolt survival is around 3.9% and the enhanced is 18.7%, which obviously is a pretty big kicker. Here's our adult sockeye run sizes. 2016 we had 86,000 enhanced adult sockeye contributed to the overall run. So you can see in the bars here, the blue is enhanced Tahltan Lake, and the gold is tuya, the contribution of the tuya stalks that were planted. So in summary, our project challenges have been like just understanding and incorporating the new methods and the increased efforts to collect our adequate brood stock. Really busy egg take days, trying to keep pace with the new procedures and to try to get the eggs to the hatchery on the same day. We deal a lot with the effects of the cold weather, cold hands. Our setup is outside, so we don't have like a building that's warmed up, and so we're working sometimes -6, -8. Things start freezing up on you, your hands in water and all the rest of it included. So we've had a few equipment failures and infrastructure needs in remote locations sometimes are hard to juggle, but we managed to get through it. And we do have some instances at times of problematic bears. Not only releasing fish, but also just getting into our intake shelter and ripping apart cups and supplies and such. Okay, so we've had relatively high survivals in production. We've implemented the implementation of the alternative stock collection. Good working relationships and communications with the agencies, with Kevin Steck at the hatchery, and with the DFO departmental representatives that we report out to on a daily basis. So we've had some really good upgrades to equipment in our infrastructure there, and obviously having a really good experienced and diligent crew pays off in the end. That's that.